morning, everybody. Welcome to today's yoga practice. Every level of yogi is welcome to today's practice. I'm hoping that you will enjoy the amazing sequence that I have planned for you today. And as the title indicates, today it's all about the hips. The hips. Oh my goodness. Where to begin? Well, the hips can be a source of a lot of stiffness and pain for many people. Part of the reason for that is it's the center of your body. Everything comes together at the hips. If you look at Eastern medicine, the hips is where you store your life force, your chi. And the philosophy behind that is if the hips are tight, the energy doesn't flow throughout the whole body, creating stiffness, creating blockages. So, physiologically, when you think about the structure of the hips, there are so many joints that come together. The upper body meets the lower body, the thigh bones into the pelvis, the back of the hips, the spine. So much coming together. You can understand why the source of energy, where you hold your chi, your life force, is thought of in the hips. So you also have, because of all of these joints that come together, you have a couple of bursa. Now, bursa are the sacs of fluid that cushion your joints. And when the hips become tight, it creates inflammation into the actual bursa sac, not the fluid, but the sac that holds the fluid that keeps your joints mobile, creating bursitis. And there are actually 4 fairly large bursa in your hips. There's 2 on the right and 2 on the left. There's one that cushions your thigh bone into your hip joint, and there's one that cushions into the groin, protecting the pelvis and stabilizing the pelvis. So this is the reason there's just so much potential for pain and stiffness in the hips. But today, we're going to help you with that. You will need today a strap, a belt, a tie, whatever it is that you need to improvise with, and a rolled up blanket or towel. I am sitting on my rolled up blanket. I always elevate my hips. 2 reasons for this. It helps me lengthen through my lower back so I don't feel like I'm slouching. I can sit really tall. Second reason, you got it, opening up the hips. If your hips are higher than your knees, it creates this open feeling in your whole body. And if you need help with that, why not use the help that's available? So, with your hips higher than your knees, I encourage you today, even if you don't usually sit with your legs crossed, please sit with your legs crossed. Do the best you can. You can even place, if you have a couple of extra blankets, one behind each leg to support the hip. Just make sure that you're sitting high enough up that your hips are higher than your knees. And with that, let's get started. It's about time. Place your hands at your heart today. Close your eyes. Take a couple of breaths right here. Let your hips feel really heavy. Just feel the support below. It can be your yoga block, it can be your blanket, it could be both. It could be a cushion. Now bring your awareness to your belly. Right at the core of the pelvis. In Eastern medicine, your power center, where you hold your chi, your life force, your vitality. In yoga, we call this prana, life force. Different word, same meaning. Focus on breathing into the core of the pelvis. Feeling the life force, the prana, flow into the belly And then exhaling, just visualizing it rippling outward throughout the whole belly, the whole body. Keeping the eyes softly closed. Release your hands now. Place the backs of your hands on your thighs. Palms open, so that your fingers feel limp, backs of your hands resting heavily on your thighs. Just feel the weight of your arms anchoring your thighs, opening up through the hips a little bit more. With your next breath in, draw your shoulders up towards your ears. Roll your shoulders back, and as you exhale, slide your shoulders down towards your hips. Really feel the heart lift just slightly. Feel the openness throughout the whole body, the whole front of the body here. The knees are wide. You can feel your breath expanding into the core of the pelvis. You can feel the heart lifting with each inhalation and the shoulders drop with each exhalation. Now inhale, sweep your arms up. Bring your hands together overhead. As you exhale, just let your hands float down, palm pressing to palm. Another breath in, sweeping the arms up. Hands coming together. And as you exhale, let the hands float down. Let's do that one more time. Move with your own breath. Now inhale, sweep the arms up. And as you exhale, hinge forward. Come far enough forward that you can bring your fingertips to the floor, wherever they happen to land. Take another breath. And as you exhale, just ease into a forward fold. Keep your hands in place, simply bend at the elbows until you feel a stretch into the groin and into the lower back. Keep your eyes beyond your hands. Resist the urge to look down at your fingertips. Look beyond your yoga mat. Stay open through the collarbones, open through the heart. And press up. Stretch your legs out. Remember which leg was in front. That's really important. Legs straight out. Anchor the hips. Anchor your heels by spreading your toes. Now inhale, sweep up. And as you exhale, right hand comes to the floor, left hand reaches over. But instead of focusing on reaching over with the left hand, think about anchoring your left hip and leaning into it enough that you feel the stretch into the whole left side of your body. With your next breath in, just windmill over to the other side. Just reach wide for a big breath in. Exhale, left hand comes to the floor beside your hip. Right hand reaches over. Anchor the right hip this time. Breath in. Bring yourself back to center. Now crossing your legs the opposite way. I had my left leg out front, so I'm going to tuck my left leg in first and bring my right leg out in front. Find your simple cross-legged pose, or simple pose even. Sitting tall. Inhale, sweep the arms up. And as you exhale, lean far enough forward you can bring your fingertips to the floor in front of you. Stay long through the upper body. Take a breath. And as you exhale, hinge forward. Just bending at the elbows, keeping your hands in place. Eyes beyond your mat to stay open through the collarbones and the heart. Steady breaths, steady body. Press up. And let's come into table pose on the hands and knees. Of course, working through the hips. So using this table pose here, make sure you're steady and stable. Wrists under the shoulders, knees under the hips. Engage through the fingertips, take the pressure off the heel of the hands. Remember, we've been working on that for the last couple of weeks or so. Neutral through the spine. So get a sense that your ears are in line with your shoulders. Uncurl your toes, let the tops of your feet rest on the floor. That will help take the pressure off your knees, especially if you're someone who does have knee issues. We all have issues. Let's just own them right out front. Now take a breath, and as you exhale, sit back towards your right heel. Kind of scoop around, let your right hip hold off to the side, come down onto your right forearm and elbow, and just reach your left hand towards the left corner of your mat. Let your right hip sink down. Just feel the stretch into the right buttock. Relax your neck, let your head feel heavy. Now press up. Return to table pose, getting ready to come down to the left side. But set your table up first. Pause, find neutral alignment of the spine. Ears in line with the shoulders. Take a breath. And as you exhale, sit back towards your left hip, left heel. Let your left hip hang out to the side. Come down onto your left forearm and elbow for support. Now reach your right hand towards the right corner. So the primary stretch here is into the left hip. The secondary stretch is into the right side of the body and the rib cage. Now, if coming down onto your heel is difficult, you stay forward and just push your hip out to the side. Find the modification that suits your body. Relax your neck, let your head feel heavy. Bring yourself back up to your neutral table position. Wrists under the shoulders, fingertips pressing into the mat, taking the pressure off the heel of the hands. Now you need a good grip on the mat here, good alignment into your neutral table pose before we bring some movement into it. Let's take a breath. And as you exhale, sit back towards the right side and then circle round. You choose how deep to go. Come over to the left and back up to a neutral table position. Now sinking back to the left. Breath out. Breathe in as you start to make your way back up to neutral table. Let's do that again. Sitting back to the right side. Breathing in when it feels natural to do so. Left side. Just going slowly and carefully to feel the stretch. Remember, this is yoga. You don't rush yoga. One more time in each direction. So sitting back to the right side first. And then sitting over to the left. And we've got one more pose to do on the knees. So just hang on here. Keeping your hips over top of your knees. Walk your hands towards the top of the mat. So now your hands are coming in front of your shoulders. Come down onto your forearms and elbows. Relax your neck. Maybe your forehead comes down to the mat. Maybe it doesn't matter. Now as you inhale, really relax through the belly and the rib cage. Create some curve through the lower back. This creates a stretch in the back of the hips, kind of going between your sits bones. Now Now slowly bring yourself up. One hand at a time, underneath the shoulders. Toes curl under. Press your fingertips into the mat. Really strong hands, stabilized wrists, strong arms. Deep breath. And as you exhale, lift to downward dog. Now go ahead and walk your dog, just pumping out the heels a little bit, feeling the stretch into the calves and the backs of the knees. Keep your hands firmly planted, arms strong, shoulders broad. Inhale, lift both heels really high, put a little bend in your knees, and as you exhale, push your heels down towards the floor. Both heels. Take 2 breaths here in downward dog. Now lift your heels, bend your knees, walk your feet towards your hands. Take as many steps as you need to get there. Coming into a forward fold. Knees bent. Make sure there's support under your fingertips. So if you're feeling the backs of your legs are tight, you can go ahead and reach for your yoga block. You can even use your rolled up blanket if you don't have a block to support under the hands. Brings the floor closer. Now with right knee bent, lengthen the left leg with your breath out. Feel yourself sink into it just slightly. Breathe through the stretch. Remember, you control the intensity by how much you lengthen your left leg. If it's too intense, soften the left knee a little bit. You got to play with your edge. Find out where your comfortable uncomfortableness level is. Now bend the left knee. Take all the intensity out of the left leg. Both knees are soft here. Pause for a breath. And as you exhale, just fold over your thighs. Just round through the back, round through the shoulders. Inhale, come high on the fingertips. Just lift the eyes, look beyond the edge of your mat. And as you exhale, fold. Tuck your chin in towards your chest. Really stretch the back of the body as much as possible. Let's do that one more time. The breath in, high on the fingertips. Lift your eyes, look forward. Feel your rib cage begin to peel away from your thighs. As you exhale, bow. Now inhale, just lift the eyes, look down between your hands. Keeping the left knee bent this time, just slowly lengthen the right leg. Ooh. Feel the stretch into the right side. Control the level of intensity to the point where you feel like you're getting a stretch, but it's not unbearable. Ah, yeah, feels good. Now soften, bend the right knee. Take all the intensity out of the right leg. Inhale, just come halfway up. Hands just under your knees or on your knees. No pressure on the hands. Sink your weight into your feet so the legs are strong. The legs are doing all the lifting. Lift your eyes, look beyond the top edge of your mat. Get a sense that your ears are in line with your shoulders. Now roll the shoulder blades back. Feel your shoulder blades squeezing in towards your spine. So you really open through the collarbones, open through the heart. Favorite thing. Now push into the feet with your breath out and lift the hips up towards the ceiling, getting a different stretch now. So instead of in the back of the knee, you feel it more into the back of the thighs. That spot where the hamstring connects to the hip. Yes, the hip. Keep lifting the hips up towards the ceiling. Make this an active stretch. You're not just standing here with a 90-degree bend in your hips. You're trying to lift the hips and maximize the stretch in the upper thighs as much as possible. Exhale, bend the knees. Oh. Release the hands and just sweep all the way out with your breath in. And release with the breath out. Inhale, sweep the arms up. And as you exhale, lean slightly to the left. Keeping the shoulders square, so try not to let the right shoulder fall in front of the left shoulder, right? We're not twisting to the left. We're putting some flexion into the spine. Now with your right hand, think of reaching up to the corner where the wall meets the ceiling. And now push down with the right foot and reach a little bit more up with the right hand, up to the corner where the wall meets the ceiling, to the point where you feel the stretch from your right ankle all the way to your right baby finger. Breathe. It's just a gentle flexion. It's more about length than leaning to the side. Now inhale, come back to center. And as you exhale, release the arms. Oh, standing tall, mountain pose. Feet are solid. You feel your hips over top of your ankles, shoulders over top of your hips. Even pull the fronts of the shoulders back so the palms open forwards. Right? You want to feel really open in your body today and work on that throughout the whole class. So we can feel the length on the right side of the body after that deep stretch. You can feel the energy on the right side dissipating, reaching out to the rest of your body. All right, let's stretch out the left side. Inhale, sweep the arms up. And as you exhale, lean over to the right side this time. Just a little bit, just enough to get a tiny bit of flexion into the spine, keeping the left shoulder over top of the right shoulder rather than falling forward. Left foot, push down. You can feel the stretch a little more deeply into the whole left side. Now increase the intensity if you choose. Think of reaching up to the corner where the wall meets the ceiling, rather than directly over to the right. Putting enough effort into this stretch to feel the whole length of the left side. From the outside edge of your left foot, all the way to your baby finger on your left hand. Make sure you're breathing into the core of the pelvis, and then sending the breath, the life force, the prana, out to the whole body. Come back to center with your breath in, and with your breath out, release your arms. Standing in mountain pose once again. Notice how your palms are inward, open them up. And as soon as the palms turn forward, the shoulders roll back, the whole body feels open. We'll stay here for one breath. Inhale, sweep the arms up. And as you exhale, bend your knees, bow forward, plant your hands. Walk your feet back to downward dog. We'll take a couple of breaths here in downward dog. Really sink your heels down. Feel a deep stretch into the back of the legs here. Now lift your right heel really high. Sink your left heel as far as you can. Now open up through the left hip just slightly. Pull the left hip up so the right hip drops down. Keep the right arm, right elbow long. Oh, that's an intense stretch. Remember, you control the intensity by how much you lift your hip, how much you lengthen through the left leg and drop the heel down. Come back to center, lifting the left heel off the mat, and now sinking down into your downward dog, both heels reaching. Getting ready for the other side, a little bit of hip opening. Lift the left heel, really bend the left knee deeply as the right heel sinks down. Feel the deep stretch in the back of the right leg. Now rotate through the hips just slightly, lifting the right hip higher than the left. Keep the left elbow strong, left arm strong. Try not to sink into your elbow by rotating through the shoulders. Simply lift the right hip and feel the length on the right side. Breathe through it. Lift your right heel. Feel your hips level off. Now sink both heels down. A breath in. Lift your heels, bend your knees, walk your feet towards your hands. As many steps as you need to get there. Coming up onto your fingertips as your feet walk towards your hands. Now bring your feet wide. Almost as wide as your mat. If you choose, as wide as your mat. Definitely at least shoulder width apart. Toes pointing towards the top of the mat. Bend your knees enough. Your right hand is on the floor. You can bring your left hand to your hip. Take a breath. Same thing. Right knee bends, left leg lengthens. Keep a softness behind the left knee to protect it. Take one more breath. And as you exhale, just turn to look to the left. Pull your left shoulder back. Push the right shoulder down into the mat. Stay high in your fingertips. It gives you the most room. Think about the stretch into the left hip here. Just looking straight to the left. Breathe. Core the pelvis and out. As you exhale, soften the left knee. Left hand comes down to the mat. Right hand comes to your hip. A breath in. Exhale. Left knee bends. Right leg lengthens. Keep some softness behind the right knee to protect it. Another breath. And as you exhale, turn to look to the right. Left shoulder pushes down towards the mat. Right shoulder pulls back. So if you have a yoga block, you can have your yoga block under your hand that's on the mat. Gives you a little more room, a little more length. Again, you can use your folded up or rolled up blanket also. Bring the floor closer. Inhale. And as you exhale, release. Bend your knees deeply. Plant the hands. Come to downward dog. All right, firm placement of the hands. Really engage through the fingers here. We're going to get ready to do a version of a three-legged dog. Now take your right foot, place it to the center of the mat, in line with your belly button. Lift the left heel, sink into the right foot. Now float, left leg up, bending left knee. Now rotate through the hip. Pull the left hip up towards the ceiling. Keep the right elbow strong, shoulders square. As you open up through the left hip. If you look under your right armpit, you might be able to see your left foot. Really stretch through the hip. Think of reaching the left knee up to the corner. Again, keeping the right elbow strong. Feel the openness of the core of the pelvis. Now rotate back to center. Adjust your right foot. Pause for just a breath in. Now walk your feet towards your hands. Again, walk your feet. Take as many steps as you need to. Come up onto your fingertips as your feet make your way to your hands. Knees bent, fingertips on the floor. And just fold over your thighs. Feel the energy in the hands after that pressure. Just wiggle your fingers. You can work with one hand at a time. Ooh. Lift your eyes, look down at your hands. You're going to plant your hands, getting ready to do that, opening up the hip on the right side this time. So walking your feet back to downward dog. Find your regular downward dog to begin. You always go from what you know to what you don't know, trying something new, always. Bring your left foot to the center of the mat in line with your belly button. Lift the right heel first, sink into your left foot, check in with the hands. Use the fingers, use the thumb. Strong arms, Stabilized wrists and shoulders. When you're ready, right foot floats up, bending at the right knee. Steady yourself. Feel your weight equally distributed between your hands and your left foot. And when you're ready, start to rotate open through the right hip. Left elbow stays long and strong. Think about reaching your right knee up towards the corner where the wall meets the ceiling. Feel that long stretch in your hip. One more breath. Slowly rotate your hip back to center. Hips are level once again as the right foot comes back to the mat. Adjust your left foot. Just take a breath in. And now walk your feet towards your hands. Taking as many steps as you need to get there. Inhale, come halfway up. Pause with your hands at your knees, under your knees, on your knees, wherever it happens to be. Legs are doing the work here. There's no pressure on the hands. The wrists, hands are getting a rest. Take a breath. And as you exhale, again, lift your hips up towards the ceiling. And now we've done a couple of stretches. You might be able to go a little bit deeper. So start to just slide your hands down your shins. Keep your eyes on the top edge of your mat to stay long through the upper body. Pull the shoulder blades in towards the spine. Stay open through the heart. Breathe. One more breath. Bend your knees. Bring your fingertips to the mat. Step your right foot back. Regular walking step. Step straight back. Push all the way down onto your right heel. Bring your hands up onto your left knee and slowly press your way up, pausing here. Now bring your hands a little higher up on your thigh, kind of into the hip joint here. Stack hand on top of hand. Look at the top edge of your mat. I want you to feel long through the upper body. Now do the same thing we've been doing all along. Pull the shoulder blades back so you're really open through the collarbones and the heart. Push down with the right heel. Pause. Take a breath. And as you exhale, push with the left heel. Oh, feel the hips level off and the left leg lengthen. Now, one at a time, transfer your hands to your hips. Feel if your hips are square underneath your hands. You don't want your left hip higher than your right. You want both hips to feel level. So level them off. Get this long line in the left leg, stretching out this outer hip flexor, the IT band. Bend your left knee. Keep the right heel planted, connected to the mat. Release the hands and just sweep up with your breath in. Keep the right knee long. Careful of the right knee as the shoulders lift up over top of the hips. Breathe. Breathe into the core of the pelvis. As you exhale, feel the energy, the life force reaching out. One more breath. And as you exhale, release the arms. Step your right foot forward. Left foot steps back. Step back onto your left foot. Left heel pushes down. Now put a little bend in your right knee. Make sure you can see your toes on your right foot and your right knee is pointing in the same direction as your toes. Looking straight ahead, left heel pushing down into the mat. Inhale, just sweep the arms up, coming into your warrior one pose. Wrists over top of shoulders, shoulders over top of hips. Breathing into the core of the pelvis. Life force radiating throughout the whole body. Feel the flow. Connect to your breath. Breath in. As you exhale, sweep your arms around, bringing your hands to your hips. Lengthen the left leg. Oh, pardon me, right leg. Both legs long now. Hips square underneath your hands. Take a breath. And as you exhale, hinge forward. Looking beyond the top edge of the mat, but down at the floor. So you're long through the upper body. Now open through the collarbones by drawing the shoulder blades in towards the spine. Ears, get a sense that they're in line with the shoulders. And again, check in with your hands. You want to feel level hips underneath your hands. It's another way to check in and check on yourself. Awareness of your body, where you are in space. Breathe through the stretch. The intensity deepens the farther forward you go. Feel the strength through the legs. Feel the soles of the feet working, right? Your legs are doing the lifting. There's a certain amount of freedom in the upper body. We'll take one more breath here. Bend your right knee. Bring your hands onto your right thigh. Pause for a breath. And as you exhale, come down. Bring your fingertips to the mat. Step your left foot forward. Bending your knees enough, your fingertips come to the mat. Take a breath in. As you exhale, lift the hips up towards the ceiling. Keep your fingertips on the mat. You can use the full length of your arms if you choose. As you exhale, bend the elbows. See if there's room to deepen your forward fold. Keep your eyes down at your hands to stay long through the upper body rather than rounding through the shoulders. The moment you start to round through the shoulders, the front of the body begins to close off. We're trying to keep the front of the body really open today. Now bend your knees. Step right foot back. Long lunge step to the back of the mat. Land on the ball of your right big toe. Now rotate your right foot, plant your heel. Right foot should be behind your left foot. You've got a 90-degree angle happening with your feet. Right toes pointing to the right, left toes pointing forward. Bring your left hand to your left shin, the upper part of your shin. Left knee is soft. Bring your right hand to your hip. So feel solid through the soles of your feet. If you have a yoga block, you can go ahead and place your block tall to the inside of your left ankle. Take a breath. Looking down at your left big toe. With your exhalation, lengthen through the left leg. Use the feet to push into the mat. Use the strength of the body. Let the legs do the lifting so there's no pressure on your left hand, no pressure on your left shin. It's only there for stability and to keep the core, the upper body, soft. A breath in. And as you exhale, turn to look to the right. And as you turn to the right, pull the right shoulder back. Use your right thumb on the back of your hip to keep the collarbones and the heart open. A little softness in the back of the left knee to protect it. Keep the pressure off your left hand. So that there's a long line happening in the front of the right hip here. If you want to go deeper into this, bring your gaze bigger. So open up by turning to look upwards. And as you turn to look upwards, the right shoulder pulls back a little bit more. You can feel a deeper opening in the right side of the body, in the front of the right hip. Now you can open further still by sweeping the right arm up. Sliding the left hand towards your ankle. Breathe. All these little progressions are ways of increasing or decreasing intensity. You choose how far to go. Take one more breath here. Now release. Right hand comes down. Exhale. Soften the left knee and rotate. Bring your gaze back down towards the mat. Right hand reaches down and the left. Pivot onto your right big toe, step forward. Take a breath in, come halfway up. And as you exhale, slide back down, fingertips to the mat, left foot steps back. Lunge step, landing on the ball of your left big toe. Rotate through your left foot, plant your heel. 90-degree angle happening with your feet. Your left foot is behind your right foot. Left toes pointing to the left, right toes pointing towards the top of your mat. Right hand comes to your upper shin, or you go ahead and reach for your block. Place it tall to the inside of your right ankle. Left hand comes to your hip. Look down at your right big toe. Take a breath. And as you exhale, push into the mat with the right foot. Lengthen the right leg. Tiny bit of softness in the back of the right knee. You can feel the length, the opening beginning to happen on the left side of the body. Take a breath. And as you exhale, turn to look to the left. Here we go. Feel the left shoulder pulling back. The intensity deepening. Keep the pressure off the right hand. Use the legs, the strength of the legs, your strong foundation to create freedom and movement of the breath, the energy, in the upper body. Now, if you're ready to go deeper, you choose. Use your breath out. Bring your gaze upwards. Opening up the body. Right? It's much bigger space up there towards the sky if there weren't a ceiling. Oh, if you're outside today, oh, what a beautiful day to be outside. If you want to go bigger still, go ahead. Reach the left arm up. Feel that long opening on the left side. And as your right hand slides towards your ankle, the left side opens even more. One more breath. Now, just as we use the exhalations to make the pose bigger, let's use the exhalations to come out of the pose. So with your next breath out, make sure your left hand is on your hip. Another breath. As you exhale, right knee softens and rotate. Left hand reaches for the mat, then the right. Pivot onto your left big toe, step forward. Knees are bent. Shift your weight. Weight is in your feet. Now inhale, sweep all the way up. Bring your gaze forward. And as you exhale, release all the way down. Palms turn forward. Shoulders roll back. Feel your vitality. Feel the prana radiating out to the soles of your feet, your fingertips, crown of your head. Reach for your strap. If your strap is long enough, you can just place it under your right foot, just under the sole of your right foot. So we're working a little bit deeper, a little bit of a progression from the pose we did last week. So here we are, standing in mountain pose. The strap is tight enough, you can feel it pulling into the sole of your right foot, and you can feel your hand pulling on the strap without leaning over to the right. Stand tall, keep the shoulders square, open heart, shoulder blades pulling in towards the spine, solid through the soles of the feet. Now push down. Shift your weight into your left leg. Feel left hip shift up, so push it down. Now slowly peel left heel off the mat. Keep the ball of the right big toe pressing into the mat. Spread your toes on your right foot. Push into the strap and lift right foot forward. So long right leg here. Push down with the left. So both feet equally pushing into the floor, into the strap. Reach left arm straight out to the left. Wrist in line with your shoulder. Take a breath. And as you exhale, push into the strap and open up to the right. There you go. Opening up through the right hip, but at the same time, the left. The right hip goes to the right. The left hip stays put. Use something to hold your gaze. That will help steady you. Breathe into the core of the pelvis and feel the prana reaching outwards, out through your left hand, out through your right foot, circulating through the whole body with every single breath. Take one more breath. Keep trying. And then push into the strap as you bring your right foot back to center and right foot to the floor. Switch feet. Standing tall in mountain pose. You can feel the strap pulling into the sole of your left foot. You feel the tightness of the strap in your left hand. Now push into the mat equally with both feet. Feel your legs spring into action. Shift your weight into your right side. Just enough. Still got your right shoulder over top of your hip, but you can feel that your right hip has slipped up. So push right hip down, level out the hips, and as you do that, left heel pulls off the mat. Spread your toes on your left foot. Push into the strap. Float left foot forward. Just floating it forward. Push into the strap, into the floor equally. Right hand reaches out to the side. Wrist in line with the shoulder. Find something to hold your gaze. Take a breath. As you exhale, push into the strap, push into the floor, and open the left leg out to the left. Standing tall. Focus on the core of the pelvis. Breathe into the core of the pelvis. And send the prana out. Out through your right hand, out through the sole of your left foot. Open, really open. Ooh. Really open through the front of your body. Push into the strap. Bring left leg back to center. And release. Woo. Well done. Bring your strap off to the side. Standing at the top of your mat. Take a breath, sweep the arms up. As you exhale, bend your knees back forward. Fingertips to the mat. Inhale, lift the eyes, look forward, lengthen through the upper body. As you exhale, push the feet into the mat, lift the hips, and fold. Final forward fold of the practice here. Feel the full length, the maximum length that you've had in the backs of the legs and the backs of the hips. Bend your knees, plant your hands, step back to downward dog. Two really big breaths here in downward dog. Really connect to the movement of the lower belly and the core of the pelvis, your lower power center. Lift your heels, bring your knees all the way down to the mat. Big toes together to touch and press back, taking a child's pose. Let your belly and your rib cage rest on your thighs or between your thighs. Support underneath your forehead. It can be your hands. It can be the block. It can be your blanket. It can be the floor. Just relax the neck and soften the jaw. Let your whole body feel heavy. Just for one more breath. Press up. Swing your legs round to the top of the mat. Knees bent, feet flat on the floor. Roll yourself back. Make sure that your blanket is nearby and your strap is within reach. Put that a little higher up. So I've got the blanket, the rolled up blanket, just to the right side of my mat, kind of in line with my rib cage and my knee. That's kind of where it is. Don't need it just yet, but it's already in place for when we do. Now walk your heels underneath your knees. Get a sense that your ankles are aligned with your knees. Hips feel really heavy here, arms at your sides. Relax the shoulders, really let the back of the body just spread on the mat. Bend your elbows to 90 degrees. A little energy in the hands, fingers separated. Keep your knees pointing towards the ceiling. Try not to let your knees fall out. You want to feel equal pressure on the four corners of your feet rather than rolling into the balls of the baby toes and the outer heels. Keep that. Draw your shoulder blades underneath you one at a time. Tilt your head back just slightly so that you can feel your chin lifting up towards the ceiling, and it feels like the tops of your ears are pointing towards the floor. Push down. Let the upper arms press down into the mat so you're creating this lift off of the spine away from the mat. Keep your eyes on the ceiling. Now use your feet to press into the mat. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, push. Push with the backs of the arms, the elbows. Push with the heels, the soles of the feet. Keeping the knees pointing up towards the ceiling as the hips rise up off the mat. Feel the lift. Keep the knees pulling in towards each other to keep the lower back soft. And just think of the long line from your knee to your shoulders as the front of the hips lengthen. Take a breath in. Lift higher if you can. And as you exhale, just slowly come down, one vertebrae at a time, until you're all the way back to the mat. One at a time, bring your knees in towards your chest. Take a moment here, let your legs feel heavy. Feel the support of the floor under your back. The back of your hips, your lower back, the rib cage, and the shoulders. Now keep the left knee in as you stretch your right leg long. Now slide your right heel down towards the front of your mat. Get a sense that your big toe, your right big toe, is in line with your belly button, kind of in the center at the front of your mat. Right hand comes to the outside of your left knee, left thigh. Left arm reaches out to the left. Back of your hand resting in line with your shoulder. Anchor your left shoulder. Spread your toes on your left foot so your left ankle is stabilized. Take a breath. And as you exhale, use your right hand to just slowly roll over to the right. So bringing your left big toe to the blanket that is in place there. You might have to adjust the placement slightly. Just land the big toe first. Keep the toes spread wide. Take another breath. And as you exhale, if there's room, Draw your knee down towards the blanket. Feel the deep stretch on the outer left hip, left thigh. Now it's really important here to keep the left shoulder anchored to the mat. The moment that your left shoulder starts to pull away from the mat, that means you've reached your maximum twist. You might need to take a couple of breaths before you can go deeper, or maybe this is it for you today. If you feel comfortable, you can go ahead and roll your head to look along your left arm. Again, breathe into the core of the pelvis and think about sending the prana, the life force, throughout your body. It's a little trickier here in a twist because, of course, you're twisted. Your brain messages get mixed up and the body is a little bit tighter. But the back of the body is so open. The back of the left hip, the outer left thigh. Bring your head to center. Release your right hand from your knee and just slide your left foot down until your ankles are stacked on top of each other and roll back onto your hips in the center. Ooh, I can feel that space in the back of my left side from my hip to the lower rib cage. Whew. Let's switch sides with the blanket. Rolled up blanket comes to the left side now. It's kind of lined up between my hip and my knee, or the base of my rib cage and my knee. Bring your knees in towards your chest. Feel the long length of your back, just a good stretch into the lower back here. Left leg lengthens. Slide your left heel towards the top of the mat. Get a sense that your left big toe is in line with your belly button at the center. Left hand to the outside of your right thigh, right knee. Right arm goes out to the side in line with your shoulder. Back of your hand resting on the floor. Aware of the connection of your right shoulder and the floor. Take a breath. And as you exhale, just slowly roll over to the left, bringing your right big toe, remember your toes are spread on your right foot, to the support of the rolled up blanket. Mindful now of your right shoulder resting on the floor, keeping that connection. Take a breath. And as you exhale, see if there's room to draw your right knee towards the blanket a little bit more, but remember to keep your right shoulder grounded. And if you feel comfortable, go ahead and turn your head to look along your right arm. Even close your eyes. Just feel the openness in the back of the right hip. Breathing into the core of the pelvis, radiating prana outwards. Out through the right arm, the right hip, even reaching down to the sole of your left foot and the tip of your left big toe. We'll take one more breath. Now bring your head to center. Release your left hand. Slide your left foot off the blanket towards your right until your ankles are stacked and roll back onto your hips. Pause for a moment. Bring your knees in towards your chest. Hold the back of your knees. Let the weight of your legs help you push the full expanse of your back from your hips to your shoulders into the mat. Reach for your strap. One end of the strap in each hand. Place your feet or place the strap under the soles of your feet. Bring your feet as wide as your shoulders, as wide as your armpits. Now bend your knees and look to see that your knees are in line with your ankles and vice versa, ankles in line with your knees. Now deepen the bend in your knees. So holding on to the strap, as you exhale, just deepen the bend in your knees. Use the weight of your arms to help you bring your feet closer. Coming into a happy baby pose. Heavy shoulders, heavy hips, heavy legs. Couple of breaths. Release the strap. Place it off to the side. Just rock yourself from side to side. Just massage out the back of the hips here. Even doing some circles all around the sacrum. And the other way. Bring your feet to the floor. Stretch your legs out one at a time. Coming into final relaxation. Bring your feet wide as your mat, and let your weight roll into the outsides of your heels so your toes are pointing out. Really feel open through the hips here. Roll your shoulder blades underneath you so you feel really open through the collarbones, open through the heart. Let the back of your hands rest on the floor. Connect to your breath. The back of the body feel really heavy. Bring your awareness once again to the core of the pelvis, your lower power center. Draw your breath, the life force, into the core of the pelvis. And as you exhale, radiate outwards. Feel the prana that restores your body with every breath. Feel the prana flowing freely, lower body, upper body. Overall feeling of wellness and of health. Take one more breath here. Really send the prana to the tips of your toes, tips of your fingers, the very tip of your head. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Bring movements to your hands and feet, arms and legs. Bend your knees one at a time, placing your feet on the floor. And just gently roll onto your right side. Right hand supports your head and neck. Linger for one more breath. Press up. Sit tall. Go ahead and reach for your rolled up blanket, your towel, your yoga block. You want your hips higher than your knees. Sitting with your legs crossed. Tall through the upper body. Heavy through legs and hips. Really open. Now inhale, sweep the arms up. Bring your fingertips together to touch. Thumb to thumb, finger to finger. Palms apart. As you exhale, float the hands down until right in front of the solar plexus, right at the base of the rib cage. Now turn your hands so your fingers pointing down, thumbs are pointing up. Soften through the shoulders. This is Hakini Mudra. Tune into the palms of the hands and the energy resting between the palms of the hands. This mudra is to help foster vitality, wellness, overall health. So as the fingertips touch, feel the radiating energy between the palms of the hands, the core of the pelvis, your whole body. Now release your hands. Place your hands on your hips. Take a breath. Feel the energy. Feel the openness through your whole body. Bring hands together in front of the heart. Take a moment here. Be grateful. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be loved. And may all beings be at peace. Thank you for joining me today. Namaste.